like to introduce you to Gabriela, Garschina, Bobrow. Gabby is a Spanish teacher, a music enthusiast, and a lover of people. She knows that storytelling is the way to build significant human connections. She is super excited to be here this evening with you in this warm and meaningful space. Gabby was also one of the original tellers. You can watch her on the recording of Show 1 on the website wearewaltham.com. And here is Gabby.
Thank you, Jessie. Great stories, everybody. So, when you tell people that you have chickens in your yard, you get some reactions like, wow, that's nifty, or you guys are cool, or that seems really progressive, or something. And you know, while all those things are true, and the poached eggs are dynamite, and the sounds of the chickens can be sort of endearing at times. The thing about chickens, in Waltham anyway, is that they bring rats. The feed from the chickens attracts the rats. And while I happen to know that chickens will kill mice, I can tell you about that some other time, apparently they're not killing these rats. Maybe they're afraid of the rats, maybe the rats are only there when the chickens are asleep, or maybe the chickens and the rats are like in community. I don't know, but I did find out that there were rats among the coop. So I decide, we have to take action, something has to be done. The city of Waltham has had historically a growing problem with rodents, and I don't want to be that neighbor. Because at some point, I'm sure someone is hearing these rats or someone is seeing these rats other than me. So we do some investigating, we start talking to some people to figure out our plan. In the meantime, it's the springtime, and off the back of our house we have a porch, and underneath this porch is not stone foundation, it's just dirt and sort of this wooden barricade around. And the important thing about this porch is that it, in a way, is very adjacent to a root cellar that's in our basement. And typically in the spring, we have flies that come and go through the back porch, spring, time of renewal, time of things happening. I was always okay with the flies. It was kind of a fun game with the dish towels and looking at the fly paper develop its, community of flies. Not too bad. I was able to deal with that. Well, one spring, there were just a lot more flies than I was used to. And I started to evolve my thinking as to why. And one of my children went down the basement stairs and looked near the window there, where we did have fly paper. And she described what she saw as a fly cloud. Okay, so, the basement, the root cellar especially, could be a place where we could do some investigating. And what better person to do that investigating than my dear husband, Stephen? So I tell him that I would like him to do this task, to go on this investigative mission. I don't give him a deadline. I don't want to know when it's happening necessarily, but I am interested in figuring out or knowing the result of said investigation. So I'm all showered up one night, I'm in between the covers, I'm reading my book, I'm so happy, and in comes Stephen, and he goes, so Gabby, I did that little job you asked me to do. Yeah, and? I really don't know how much I should tell you. Okay, so listen, Stephen, you're going to start to tell me, and when I don't want to hear anymore, I'm just going to say stop. Very easy. Okay, so Gabby, I got my headlamp on, there's no light in the root cellar, I got my flashlight. I open the root cellar door, I shine my flashlight in there, and I see the light sort of is reflecting back at me. And there's no metal in there, and there's no glass in there. I realize what I'm shining at is something that is glistening. Okay, Steve, you can stop there, that's great. I think we have to pivot, I think yet we need a new plan. Because they've breached the fortress. They're no longer just in community with the chickens, they're in the house, right? And again, I don't want to be that neighbor, and I don't want rats in my house. We have met the enemy, and the enemy is us. We are providing for the rodents. So, because I'm a lover of people and I like to talk to people, I'm telling everybody about my rat problem, looking for solutions. Okay, so you can drown rats, 8 to 10 at a time apparently. Again, story for another day. You can poison rats. You can electrocute rats. And there was a story about that where my friend told me how when he dragged the electric trap, you know, he still can see the bloodline at that in the back of his garage, you know. So there's tons of great stories about rats. My favorite story about how to kill rats comes from Farmer on YouTube. Kill rats dead. All you do is you take a piece of Tupperware, you leave the top on, you cut a hole in the side, you put half part baking mix, Farmer can tell you the best bargain where to get it, and baking soda. Little critter goes in there, eats to his heart's content, leaves, goes to tell everybody about his big feast, and he dies because rats don't fart. True story. So we try that. I'm not happy with the results. We do a little bit of poison, much to my chagrin. And the problem with the poison is that you find corpses in your yard. One day we get home, summertime, hot. We get home from a trip. My daughter and her boyfriend are standing in the driveway waiting for us. Hey guys, what's up? I can smell it as soon as I get out of the car. They're like, so we're walking around the yard looking at all the beautiful plants, and you know, we step over here and there's a fly cloud. And then we step over here and there's another fly cloud. So, you know, we pick up some dead rats, we're okay with that. But then we decide to call the people that we know, or we like to call the tricksters. So the tricksters are the people who catch the rats because they fool the rats, because rats are smart. So you put out a trap and you don't put anything in there that's going to harm the rat because you want the rat to come to the trap and eat and not die and be like, hey, these people are giving me food. Is this a good setup? And you record and the people come and look, and once it's being eaten, then they put in something that's going to harm the rats. But the best part about the tricksters is their angle about the rat can. So you have a camera out and you record when the rats are coming or going, figuring out if they're still there, figuring out where they come and go from. So I assumed that the tricksters were going to be the people looking at the rat can. I was wrong. You come downstairs on a Friday night, you've had a nice dinner, you expect your family to be listening to some music, playing a board game, watching their favorite TV show. No, my daughter and my husband, Stephen, are on the couch watching the rat can. So what better way to address this, other than saying, no thanks guys, is let's go get some of that corn from the chicken feed and make them a snack.
I'm here to introduce Rachel, our next speaker. Rachel Parzivand teaches kids to read. She works to create community among her neighbors through volunteer work and thoroughly enjoys poking along the Charles River. You can watch Rachel's story from the old We Are Waltham View, an earlier We Are Waltham story. It's on show 1 on the website wearewaltham.com.
So I walk into my classroom and I see my student in the corner, which is an unusual choice for a student when there are desks. And his head is down and his hood is pulled so tight that it kind of looks like the sphincter of a cat's and I knew it wasn't going to be a good day. I was charged with the special gift of teaching him how to read multisyllabic words with open, closed, V-dashy syllables and digraph blends. And I was ready. I'm prepared. Let's do it. I'm going to give you the gift of literacy and you're going to love it. Well, he did not. His head was down. And I went over and I tapped him on the head. And I was like, hey, bud, we can shoot some hoops. We can take a walk. We can play the slapping game, which is basically I give him a card with a letter on it. He slaps it and says the sound. It works with a lot of people. Nothing. I knew it was going to be a long 45 minutes. And he did too, and guess what? He won. He stonewalled me for 45 minutes. The bell finally rang, and he and I were both grateful for the sweet, sweet relief of a new day. He left, and I went on and taught the rest of my classes, which I will let you know were more successful. I teach people, and they generally receive it. I went home that day, but it was still bothering me, and I was like, oh, man, this is the worst. And it was January, and the sky was oatmeal, pebbly gray, and just oppressive and low, and I was just like, this is a bad day. I did not get to have that sweet teacher moment where, I know, 10 years down the line, they're going to come back with a pie and tell me how I changed their life. And I wanted it, but it wasn't to be. And on top of that, I had to do laundry. And on top of that, I don't have in-unit laundry. So I had to go and get my big yellow bag from Camp Ramah that I've had for way too many years and sling it over my shoulder like a terribly crappy Santa and walk over to the Crescent Street laundromat. So I throw my laundry in, and it's going to be 30 minutes for wash and then 25 minutes for dry. So I was like, by the Charles. And that is a place I like. It is a place that makes me happy. It is a place that heals me when people don't listen. So I'm walking along and I'm looking at some ducks that are on the ice and are eating bread crusts, which they shouldn't be eating. It expands in your stomach. If you're going to feed the ducks, give them grapes and cut them in half. And out of the corner of my eye, I see something rusty. I see something large, and I see something large and rusty, and I look over it, and it's a complete grocery cart just resting on the ice, just there. And I don't know, I was just, this is my river. This is the place I go to look at things that make me happy, and now there's this disgusting cart in it. I don't know what came over me, but I was like, I'm going to get it out. I'm going to get this cart out. Watch me. And so I am right in front of Margarita's, right on that little walkway, and there's a little cement parapet, and I'm a terrible judge of distance, but I think I'm just gonna reach over and grab it because it's gotta be that close. No, it's 6 feet away, and I am plus another 2 feet back, and I reach over and I'm like, oh, that's clearly not gonna work. And I thought to myself, but you know what? I could get a big stick and I could hook it, and that's gonna work because I'm getting this cart. Because I couldn't teach that kid to read today, but I'm getting the cart. So I go and I grab a stick, and I'm leaning over this, and again, I teach reading and not math because I should have known I was getting nowhere near the cart with my stick. And I'm leaning over, like so. And all of a sudden I hear from behind me a panicked cry, lady, lady, lady! Are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to get this grocery cart. Obviously this is what I'm trying to do. And then it dawns on me that this poor guy must think I am very slowly trying to throw myself over the edge into the river. And I stand up because I don't want to distress anybody. I'm already distressed. We don't need to spread that around. And I looked at him and I said, well, there's a grocery cart in the river. And he looks at me it needs to come out. And I look at him and I realize that he is one of the supers at the Cronin Apartments, you know? He's got the tool belt and he'll put him in and do things. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna get it out, right? You and me, we're getting it out, it's happening. So, he looks at me and I think he's very concerned that I'm gonna use that against him. And I'm like, yeah, you can help me figure it out, right? And he literally looks at me and goes, okay, give me like 10 minutes. And he goes back under the Cronin Apartments, you know, where the garage is, and I just hear rustling and rumbling and things being shifted. And I'm also looking at my watch because I know that my laundry is going to be done soon. And if you don't get back in time, they just take your laundry and they just dump it out in this unceremonious heap of wetness, and everyone will swim under things. And why? We don't need to be doing that. So I'm kind of looking at the clock, and I'm just ineffectually trying to grab the grocery cart. It's not going to happen, guys. And all of a sudden he comes out, and I see in his hand that he has jerry-rigged. He has MacGyvered a grappling hook out of trash for me. It is made out of a lamp, a yellow cord, and an old rake head. And it's like a real grappling hook. I also have a picture. It's amazing. And he tries, no gun. He tries again, and then he very graciously allows me to try so that I can kind of like be the one who gets it. No, guys, not even, I was like 8 miles off, 3 miles to the left, nowhere. He tries a third time, and he hooks it! And I am cheering like, I don't know, people who watch football, I'm sure I'm cheering like that. And I'm so happy. And we just pull this stupid, rusty piece of crap out of the river, and I'm just like, I know I didn't make it happen, but like I helped make it happen. It was my idea to make it happen, so I'm taking the win. And we pull this thing out, and then I'm like, well, what are we gonna do? Because if we leave it here, I know what's gonna happen. Some punk kid, I mean, it was a punk kid, it's gonna throw it back in the river. And I don't want that to happen. And I look behind him at the big dumpsters that say private property, Cronin. And I look at the nice man, and I was just like, one more favor? And we go, we drive this rusty tetanus shot back over the edge, and we throw it into the dumpster, and I did ask him to take his picture, because I was just like, sir, you are like an actual superhero. And it like dawned on me that like, I can't win by myself, you know? I wanted a win earlier that day, and I couldn't get it, I couldn't make it happen, I can't do it by myself. But like this guy, he looked at me and he said, yeah, I'll join you in on your scheme. And co-conspirators, people who are willing to get in the game, get their hands dirty, take risks, those are the people that are going to help me get the wins that we need to help everybody else.
That was so awesome. And that's our last teller for tonight. Thank you so much, Rachel. If you've enjoyed all these stories, we are not done yet with you. I'm not done with you. We're going in for another little break, and we're going to hear a little more music. But I really want to see more cards with stories. I only have 4 in there. Come on, people. Grab a card. You two, more from you. I saw you. One more. Pick another prompt. Do more. Just any, and if I could encourage you, because I do teach storytelling a little bit, think of an incident that happened to you, right? Instead of just